All right, so we got Washington versus Maryland this week. It's in College Park. Maryland had the beautiful opportunity this weekend. They were on a bye, and they was able to watch them against Ohio State. This is going to be a dynamic game this weekend. So if you never see me break down the game, I'm going to break it down from a few standpoints. I'll get a history of a game. We'll talk about schemes because schemes matter. I've been saying that for a very long time. We'll talk about a few players. Jimmy and Joe's is not my thing. I'm more concerned with the schemes. And then I'll give you guys my outcome. That's the way I like to talk about the game. So we start this week with a matchup that feels like it's been waiting 4 decades to happen, and it's because it has waited 4 decades to happen. They've only played one time. That was way back in 1982. Now in 2025, we get their second meeting, and this time both programs are trying to prove that they belong with the upper echelon of teams in the Big Ten Conference. And guess what? I'll be there on the sidelines. There's no mystery to where I'm going this week. I told Moon there's only one game I want to go to. I want to go to Maryland. I want to see Damon Williams versus Malik Washington. That's what I want to see. I told him that's where I'm going. Don't even put in credentials for me to go anywhere else. I'm going to Maryland. That's 100% I'm going. So let's talk about the Washington Huskies side of things. 3-1, tough loss to Ohio State this weekend. Some calls could have definitely went their way, but at the end of the day, they didn't play well. They didn't play up to their expectation because they were scoring points at an extremely high rate before that game. Head coach Jedd Fisch has brought like a pro-style spread attack to Seattle. It builds with tempo, pre-snap motion, and love stressing defenses vertically. That's what he likes to do, right? Washington offense averages 43.2 points per game. That's 13th nationally. They were just second in the nation in scoring before that Ohio State game. Ohio State defense is real deal. Best unit in all of football. I don't care if you want to talk about offenses or defenses. What Matt Patricia is doing with that defense, you could not tell me he will be doing a better job than Jim knows. Well, guess what? He's doing a better job than Jim knows. He's just brought such an NFL perspective to that defense. And think about all the pieces that they lost. They had 14 players drafted, a bunch of players UDFA last year. Dude, they lost a lot of talent. And the fact that Matt Patricia has his defense playing as well as he hasn't played is amazing. Damon Williams Jr. is playing outstanding. 75.6 completion percentage, 951 yards on the season, 6 touchdowns, decisive, accurate, and it's one of the most efficient passers in the sport. I'm lucky enough in my 3rd season. I always talk about this. This is an ongoing thing here. I do have a trophy for my college football 26 league with Oklahoma. I'm in my 3rd year. I had Damon Williams last year, but I also had Devin Dampier. I went with Devin Dampier as my starter. Luckily, Damon Williams stayed. We just played Ole Miss. It was the Aflac kickoff challenge. We played him earlier today. We was able to handle business. So, huge fan of Damon Williams Jr. And what he's doing statistically is crazy. Jonah Coleman, I liked his time when he was with Jedd Fisch at Arizona a few seasons ago. He's playing outstanding as well. 417 yards, 9 touchdowns, averaging 6.5 yards per carry. And he's the bell cow for this team. And if the headline reads Washington won this game, to me they were able to possess the ball. That starts with, Jonah Coleman being able to, pick up pivotal first downs, outstanding in the short game in the red zone. And then Damon Williams Jr. was able to do his job passing. Denzel Boston is a guy at wideout. That's who Maryland will be keying every time they're on defense. And he's difficult to stop. Dude got 275 yards on the season. And he gives, Fish that, that vertical weapon he craves. Jedd Fisch is a really unique coach. You see a lot of coaches are involved with their offense, like Zach Kitley at FAU. He likes to call his plays. Jedd Fisch is another one of those guys. Who's another one of those head coach guys that love to call plays? Lincoln Riley is one of those guys as well. Lane Kiffin, another one of those guys, even though he's kind of eased up on it. And in recent memory, Steve Sarkisian is another guy who's a head coach that loves to call plays. Jedd Fisch is, he calls the plays offensively, but he gets involved in the defensive plays as well. It's interesting to me, but he puts on a lot of responsibility for himself, and that, pursuit of excellence is something that he craves. But yeah, Denzel Boston is phenomenal if you haven't seen him this year. Defensively, we talked a lot about the offense. Defensively, we're looking at Ryan Walters, in his wheelhouse, his aggressive zone disguises pattern matching in the secondary, simulated pressure, and he wants to really confuse the quarterbacks, and he'll try to do that with true freshman Malik, Washington this upcoming weekend. Safety Alex McLaughlin is already notched 29 tackles on the season and 2 interception, and he's the tone setter for that unit. Make no mistake about it. Let's move over to the Maryland side. Maryland is 4-0, 1-0 in the Big Ten. Granted, they had an easy schedule, first 3 games of the season. I said we're going to find out a lot about this game, about this team when they play Wisconsin. Granted, we've seen Wisconsin kind of lose rough games. One of them was to Maryland, the other one was to Alabama, but it was still a competitive game. Wisconsin had reasons to want to win that game. Of course, Luke Fickell, not saying that he's coaching for his job, because they just did give him a contract extension. But if you know ball, you know he's coaching for his job. And then they had the kid Billy Edwards Jr., who was actually Maryland quarterback last year. And I'm sure he had this game circled on his calendar like, yo, yeah, they got to come here and I'm going to pay them back and show them why I'm a good player. But, Maryland is unbeaten. Mike Locksley has Maryland humming. Before the season started, I had him on, the hot seat. I thought that, hey, that performance that they put out last year, they had an embarrassing loss to Northwestern last year. I'm like, yeah, you're on the hot seat. And a lot of times we look at freshman quarterbacks to deliver us from Eva. We saw that with DJ Lagway a year ago at Florida. This year's been Malik Washington at Maryland, and he certainly delivered us from Eva. 43 points is all of their defense giving up all season. No, and I know they played an easier schedule first 3 games. They played FAU, they played Northern Illinois, then they played Towson before they played Wisconsin. But giving up 43 points all season is phenomenal. Change his offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. A lot of times, if you want to know if a coach believes you on a hot seat, he'll change his offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. See Mike Norvell do it a season ago. Locksley also did it as well. And, Pep Hamilton should be a name that everybody knows. Love his scheme. He runs, a no-coast offense. That's what he calls it. It's self-branded. It's tight end driven. Power on first, but flexible. But built on early down efficiency, physicality in the box, and rhythm passing that creates third down mismatches. And if you've watched Maryland at all this year, this is exactly what it is. But don't get it twisted. They're not afraid to throw the ball. As we see, Malik Washington put up some great stats this year. He's the trigger man at quarterback at the helm. True freshman, 1,038 yards this season, 8 touchdowns. He does need to get that completion percentage up, 59%. That needs to be a little bit higher. But that's what you get from somebody who's a true freshman. Coaches will probably say, hey, don't try to make a play. Every play, don't be afraid to throw that thing out of bounds. But he's produced some explosive plays this season. And he keeps defenses honest. Running back DeJuan Williams, 183 yards on the season. But, we'd like to see him get that output up a lot. And then Shalik Knott's 276 yards at the wideout position. This team is very good defensively. Defensive coordinator Ted Monachino, or Monacchio, I'm not sure how you say it, but I think it's Monachino. He's unconventional. His system is built on speed, unpredictability, and simulated pressures. Not blitzing for the sake of blitzing, but disguising coverages and using movement to throw quarterbacks off. Already has 2 picks and giving the Maryland back end to capitalize in Monachino's schemes. These are some of the keys to victory, in my opinion. This game is kind of 2 different philosophies. I think both of these teams need this win, and I hate to say that, especially with Washington coming off the loss to, Ohio State. If they want to be a part of the who's who in the Big Ten, because there's some teams in the Big Ten that are really good. Like, where do we put Indiana at? They got to be one of the best teams in the conference. Where do we put, Ohio State at? Where do we put Oregon at, right? And then Penn State is no longer at the top tier. They got bumped down, right? USC, they were looking really good, but Illinois just beat them this past weekend. Cannibalization is coming in all of these Power 4 conferences. I've warned of it before. I'm going to warn you now. There's a lot of cannibalization coming. And what we think we know this season, we do not know. Every single week, this week, I say, wow, this has been the best week of college football. Starting with week 1, not week 0. Week 0, I was happy with the week, but I didn't say it was bad. Week 1, I was like, wow, this is college football. Week 2, we don't got much. Oh, yeah, this is college football, best week. Week 3, best week. Week 4, nothing can top that. Week 5, I said, hold my beer. Right? So 100% confident in that. And some of the keys to this game, I think Maryland needs to continue playing outstanding defense. The success rate game, they got to play that success rate game. Like, make it uncomfortable for Washington, because, yes, we see them struggle to put up points versus Ohio State. Even though Maryland is playing outstanding defense thus far this year, they're not Ohio State defense. Make no mistake about it. So I'm telling you, Washington's going to try to come out here and put up points and punches. So I think the keys to victory for both of these teams is winning the war attrition on the line of scrimmage, making sure each possession ends in a kick, whether that's point after touchdown, whether that's field goal or a punt. Do not turn the ball over, and also be ready to win this game in multiple facets. right? And I say that like, in the Big Ten you think ugly play. This game can be one of those ugly games where defenses are playing outstanding. This game can also be a high-scoring affair, and the last quarterback with the ball is who's going to win this game. So be ready for anything in this game. And that's kind of with every game you play, but in this game specifically, because both of these offenses have the capability of being high-powered. So who I think is going to win this game? Locksley got something going on, man. He really does. They're really playing well. I think conventional wisdom will tell you Washington just lost. Washington needs this game more than Maryland needs this game. But I think Maryland has a statement that they want to make this year. If you think this past week that Pep Hamilton, if you think that Mike Locksley, if you think that Ted Monachino wasn't focused on watching Washington this weekend and seeing the things that Matt Patricia was able to do against this, offense, and they're going to try to scheme that up. But also on the other side, if you don't think that Jedd Fisch is going to be like, well, they got an opportunity this year. They didn't play this weekend. What didn't work in this Ohio State game, we know we're going to see that again. So can Ted Monachino disguise his coverages the way that, Matt Patricia has been able to disguise his coverages in Columbus? That's going to be the most interesting thing. I think it's going to lean closer to a high-scoring affair than a low-scoring affair. Give me Maryland with the upset. I think they find to win this game either like 31-24, 38-31. Malik Washington makes one more play than Damon Williams Jr. I'm excited for this game. This college football should be excited for this game. I'm not saying college game they should have went there. Of course, they're going to want to go down to Vandy. We saw the offseason back and forth between Ryan Williams and Diego Pavia. It makes sense to go there. There's some other really good games this week. And there's no game, not Vanderbilt at Alabama, even at Bryant-Denny. There's not one game I want to be at more than this Maryland and Washington game. That's why I told Moon, forget the guesswork. You don't got to send credentials to a million places. Just send it at Maryland. That's where I'm going this week. I want to be in College Park to watch this showdown.